Perfect. Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening to all, and welcome to the Data-Driven Community virtual meeting. Let's start with a few words about the Data-Driven Community. For more information, simply check the community website. I will add the link in the chat as well, actually in the Q&A, and you can check it after the meeting or during the meeting and get all the information about our community and the upcoming events. So if you scroll a bit in the main page of the website, then you can see the community upcoming events. On the left side of the page, you can notice the information about the Future Data-Driven Summit. This is an annual joint conference we are leading with a multiple data platform user groups partner. We are almost thinking about how to start the Future Data-Driven Summit 2026. We did not started yet to organize it. But if you want, you can go to the conference page of each of the years before. The second branch of activity we run are the weekly meetings of the Cloud Data-Driven User Group, like today. And here you can follow our next weekly meetings as well. We are using a Meetup and Eventbrite and a few other registration platforms. So the best way to actually follow all the activity is the website, the community website. You are more than welcome to contact any of the community board. We have Jen Joseph, who is the founder and the co-administrator of the community. We have Defti Gori, who is moderator and event organizer, and myself. My name is Ronen Arieli. I'm from Israel, working as a senior consultant in the field of data platform and architecture of enterprise-level systems. I am an administrator of the Data-Driven Community, and I will be hosting the session today. Together, we are here to help and serve the data platform community. Please note that the chat is disabled, but you can use the Q&A feature for both questions and discussion. Please note that Teams does not automatically refresh the Q&A feed. It's a known issue. It's actually a bug that's going with us for a few years. So please remember to manually refresh your Q&A panel. You can do it by toggle between the all and the my post filters, or simply close the Q&A and open it again. And then you will see the new discussions or questions. Be sure to check the Q&A panel often. The discussion and links that are shared by your peers are just as important as the main slides and provide a lot of extra value to the meeting. Remember, this is a user group meeting. It's not a conference. It's not only a lecture, so feel free to use it. You are also welcome to use reactions. Now, this is something that personally I love a lot. You can just try it now. It doesn't interfere with our course, the meeting. If you hear something that you love, like, or you just want to clap hands virtually, then feel free to do so. It just, you will see the icon like going on the screen for everyone. It's I like it a lot. And with that, I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker for today, Daniel Patkos. Daniel is a chapter lead and a business intelligent architect. So Daniel, please share your screen and you can add a few words about yourself.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share this screen now. And I hope that this is the right one. Yeah. Okay. I'm just organize a bit things around so I can see the Q&A. I already asked 2 questions and I already seen that there are a couple of answers. Thank you. But I encourage the others as well to answer the 2 questions I asked. So today is going to be about a bit about version control and a lot more what you can do after the basics. So we will get into the agenda shortly, but we are going to experiment with GitHub Actions and experiment with other possibilities and options in GitHub as well. So my name is Dani Patkos. I'm from Budapest, Hungary, where I enjoy enjoy my amazing colleagues. I enjoy working together with them at Visual Labs. And if you want to contact me related to this presentation or this session or anything else, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can also check out my blog where I share Fabric and Power BI related content. I have like 10 plus years of experience in data. I started my career in business intelligence and data visualization, and I've been focusing on Power BI, Azure, and Azure data-related products for the past 8 years now, and also Fabric since its release. So I think that's enough about me. Usually, I will. So usually, I would continue the presentation with a couple of questions. So I would want to get to know you a bit better. That's why I created those 2. I created those 2 questions in the Q&A, and I can see questions coming in. What I want to understand usually during this session, like at the beginning of this session, is your level of understanding related to the basic Git terminologies, your level of understanding of PBIP and TMDL, so Power BI project files, and the tabular model definitive language. And this is more like an advanced session where I'm not really going into explain all the modes, I mean, all the basics. So please do let me know if you in the Q&A if you need a deeper, better explanation. But I created this cheat sheet. So if you feel that you need to refresh on your Git knowledge, or there's just like a secure way to, like something secure to check instead of Google quickly, I created this cheat sheet. Feel free to check that out. And whenever I mention things like commit, pull request, branches or stuff like that, and you might not be familiar with that, feel free to consult this cheat sheet. I'm going to QR code up for a couple of more seconds until I continue and explain what our goal is going to be for or today. So I have, I think, like 3 main goals for today's session. One is I want to show you how you can use PBIP and Git to bring like structure in your Power BI development. The second one is how you can run like automated tests with GitHub Actions. We are going to check the best practice analyzer. If you're not familiar with the best practice analyzer, you can check that on this cheat sheet. And the third one, and this is going to be, I think, the main focus of the presentation, is actually once that you manage to run an automated test in your repository and get a result, get a result back, then how can you scale these up across your organization? How can you make sure that you don't have to manage these things like repo by repo, but you have like one centralized solution where you can solve all of your issues and hopefully create a solution which will help you through which will create the basic CI/CD workflow for all of your projects. So I'm going to move away now. I'm going to check, but before that, I'm going to check the Q&A once more if there are more answers here. No, I think these are the ones I can see now. Okay. So the agenda. I'm quickly going to explain or start with the dark age of Power BI, just to remember what we had before, or most probably what we didn't have before PBIP and the Git integration, when we couldn't really version control our solutions or our projects. Quickly going to explain how the Power BI project files and TMDL change this completely. We are going to see one demo. It's a pre-recorded one where we run an automated quality check. We are going to automatically run the best practice analyzer against our semantic model and check the result. And once that's ready, I'm going to explain you a good couple of other things, why I think that this is just the beginning, how you can improve that, and how you can build this, scale this up, and use that across your organization, all of your projects. If you're working for like multiple clients, deploy that for them as well. So this is the agenda. Feel free to ask questions, and I will try to answer those whenever those pops up. Okay, so let's start. The dark age. Back in my days. So if you started your journey with Power BI, like not recently, but like more than, let's say, 2 years ago, then most probably you faced the issue what I faced, and like most of the Power BI or BI developers faced, is that there was, so like version tracking with Power BI was a nightmare. It's not like we had a good solution to do that. So if you wanted to overcome the issue, then I think like many others, I created my own solution to that, my own version control system. So every time I felt that in a project, I reached to a point that I need to save a snapshot of my project, or I just felt that there is going to be a risky step now. So I made enough progress. And before ruining everything again, let's just to be sure, let's save another version. I use the naming. I use this naming version or naming conversion, which is the project name underscore the date. I don't know if you are a Power BI, if you're a data guy, then date must be there, right? So project name underscore date underscore the version number, and even if I mean, when I was creating those, I knew that this is not a good system, but this is what we had. Obviously, I didn't know the difference between 147 or 105. I have an anecdote which I usually tell during this part, is that I was sharing my screen during a working session with my colleagues. And one of my colleagues, instead of like paying attention, he started to laugh his ass off, and he was like, "Danny, version 147, but why?" And obviously, I mean, it's both like sad but true as well, and funny that I was 147 because based on my version control system, this is what I needed to feel in control of my Power BI project. But he had every right to laugh, right? So this is not a good system. Again, I don't know what the difference was between the earlier versions, and if I had to go back because I deleted something earlier, I manually had to open a lot of things, several Power BI files, which if you are working with like huge files, can take an enormous amount of time. So this was not a good thing, and was just like when working alone, let's say. And we also try to overcome the source control issue while we were working together on a project, and things got like even wilder in that scenario. We started to use SharePoint, where we stored single source of truth, so like one file of each project, and if anyone modified that, then the developer had to like re-upload the files. As you can see from the screenshot, it wasn't working as intended. So I'm going to ask another question because I'm always curious. So what was your way to deal with the lack of version control in Power BI? If any one of you is willing to answer that, I will be super happy to hear like a good couple of. I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself, Nadav, but I just posted this as in a Q&A, so you can answer to that.
I can unmute people if you want to allow it, so people can put their hand up, and we will unmute specific people. We do have a nice discussion in the question. Right now, there are no questions. Do you want me to unmute people?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Here we have a question. Oh, it's your question. What is your way to deal? Okay. We have someone who wants to speak. Nadav Shnir. Let me unmute you. One second. So here. Okay, Nadav. You should be able to speak now.
Oh, hi. We actually did something very simple. We had folders in a shared folder. We had a production folder and we had older version. And the rule was that when you start working on a new development, you copy a version to an older version subfolder with the date, and you move on to work with the production. It was the period of PBIX, so it was like any other file. So there's no reason to use any sort of configuration management.
Yeah, and if you started to working on a file, then you were praying that okay, no one would want to like make any modifications, right? So it's like the same issue what we had. So like if like multiple developers started to working on the same file, then you had to spend like I don't know how many hours or like let's just say like minutes to merge the different things together.
And then we had subfolder. This guy is working on this folder, and
yeah,
we almost end up stabbing each other. But well, we heard that there is another options. We are all very happy about it.
I can understand that why. Okay, thanks, Nadav. It's unfortunately again. I think we all have been there, and maybe some of you are still using the same thing. I have a very good, very good news to you that you can change this way and you can switch to another version. Another way to version control your system or to your solutions. And this is the way. It's not a Mandalorian quote. It's like the way you can do that is through Power BI project files. This is something what was introduced as preview almost maybe more than 2 years now. And I truly believe that this is the best thing what could happen to us as Power BI developers for the past, 10 years, 8, I don't know how many, because it allows, like, even if it's just the default settings, it makes version control possible. And it also enables you to do things without opening Power BI and Power BI Desktop. How we can do that? So until this point, when you saved your file, you just saved it into a PBIX file. This is the Power BI Desktop file. And but when you uploaded this to Power BI service and shared this with your colleagues or clients online, then you remember you always had like two files, right? One is semantic model, and the other one is the report online. And because in the backend, the PBIX was just like a wrapper. It was just like combining everything into one file. But obviously, the visualization related stuff and the semantic model related stuff was handled differently. And PBIP makes this available on your desktop as well. So you can now save your file into PBIP, which will give you a nice folder structure. You will have one folder related, with all the files related to your visualizations, and another folder which is all the files related to your semantic model. And you also have a Power BI file, which is just like a lightweight thing, just like a 1 kilobyte file. It's always 1 kilobyte file, but you need to open that, and then you can work with the same UI, same UX, Power BI desktop. And when you publish your report online, then the end users are going to see the same thing. So, what they've seen before, one report and one semantic model. As I said, this is like a folder structure with like multiple files. All of those files are in JSON. And even if JSON is not the best way for humans to read, at least it's code-based, so you can start tracking the changes between the different versions if you integrate this with a source control system like Git. And when I say you have different files in a folder, I mean that all the tables, for example, all the separate tables for your semantic model are going to be stored in a separate file. All your pages, report pages, and all the information related to that specific page are going to be stored in a very specific and separate file. So PBIP is a game changer, and especially if you add that you can enable TMDL, which is the tabular model definitive language. As I said, by default, PBIP is in JSON, but TMDL transforms the semantic model related files, only the semantic model related files, into a human readable, easy to parse, and easy to interact with code or language. This is an example, one demo Power BI file opened in VS Code. What you can see highlighted is those are all the tables related to this file or in the semantic model. And
stop you for a second. If you may enlarge, it's very small. It's impossible or almost impossible to read the content.
I can. Can you see that I just highlight? I just zoomed in. Can you see that or no?
I see your mouse. I don't see the.
Okay. Let me reshare. I'm going to reshare my screen. Let's see. Can you see that that has zoomed in now?
Now it's better.
Okay. So on earlier, thank you, Ronan. So this is opened in VS Code. All the files related to my semantic model. Under tables, I can see all the tables which are in my semantic model. When I click on and select a table, I can see all the elements stored in this table, all the columns, all the measures, and if you can see at the bottom, we can also see the M code. So you can open this file, modify that, save that, and when you open Power BI Desktop, all the changes are going to be there. Sorry, I'm not going to get into the more details right now because this session is like a couple of steps ahead of this. But as you can see, you can change like all the characteristics or the attributes of a columns are here. You can change the data type if you want. You can add format string. You can change the default summarization. And when I said that it's easy to read and parse, and not just for humans, but also for any LLMs, if you are using like VS Code, you can use Copilot or ChatGPT, or you can use the TMDL view, what's available now in Power BI Desktop, and you can make like bulk modifications. You can like replace and set the default summarization from some to none for all of your integer or numeric columns, which is a best practice to follow. Okay, so this is what PBIP gave us. Again, the M code, if you want to see that, it's also there. And now what we have here is, so far, I mean, until this point, we've been just working on Power BI Desktop. Now we have PBIP, which is code-based, so we can save it in PBIP. And as you can see, I can open in VS Code, and I can also integrate that with Git, like create a local repository. And and if I have a local repository, I can also connect that to a cloud one, like a remote repository. Microsoft supports Azure DevOps and GitHub. Obviously, both those are Microsoft's like owned or Microsoft projects. So from today's demo and point of view, it doesn't matter if you are using GitHub or Azure DevOps. Those are almost, I mean, those are interchangeable. Even the code they use are like 95% the same. But once you integrated this, your local repo with your remote repository, then you can further integrate that with the Fabric workspaces. If you have Fabric or Premium per user, you can connect your Power BI workspace or Fabric workspace to your repository as well, which is very helpful. We are not going to touch this today. We are going to focus what's happening between us as developers, and mostly what's happened on in the cloud, in the repository. Okay, Git basics. I think I'm going to jump this slide. You have the cheat sheet. Feel free to consult that. But let's say that you started to use PBIP. You started to use TMDL. You also started the Git integration. You started to have you started to track your changes in VS Code or thanks with Git in a repository. You have your commits. You have your branches, so you have like multiple of you can develop at the same time and then merge the changes into the main version. Let's say you already done that and you and your team is already familiar with all that. I think that after this point, you are going to have other questions. You are going to face other challenges. And the challenges I faced or we faced was like what you can see in the scene, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So let's say you have, I think that DAX code, if it's written in any type of DAX code, it's a measure, column, or table, it should be formatted. Actually, it must be formatted. And I don't care if it's like just a demo project almost, but or the most important project of my company. I think the DAX code used in Power BI must be commented and formatted, sorry. And how do I do that? How do I enforce this? How do I make sure that all of the projects, even if those what I'm not working at the moment, but my colleagues do, those are formatted? How can I do that? And how can I do that automatically? How can I make sure that if a DAX code is complex, so let's say more than 20 lines longer, how can I make sure that the developer of that code actually takes the time and adds the comment to that? Because I think that those should be commented, because I consider those like complex DAX codes. And there are best practices in Power BI. How do I make sure that those are enforced? And as you can see, these are like almost the same questions, just from a different angle. So how can I automate these checks? And even like how can I automatically trigger these checks and execute these checks and get a response? And if you have any experience outside of Power BI or like in software development or coding, then you might be familiar with CI/CD, which is continuous integration and continuous deployment. Very like this is going to be like an oversimplification, but this is how we can apply the same rigor, the same structure, what we can see in software engineering, and make sure that from one point the integration is continuous, and also the deployment. So how can we automate the testing or different part of the testing? How can we automate the deployment? So once the changes are accepted, how can I make sure that I don't have to manually click on approve, release when I already done that in the development and UAT, and don't have to do the same things for prod as well. Again, you can check the cheat sheet for a bit more explanation, but the main point from today's presentation is that if you are using Azure DevOps, then you can use the built-in DevOps pipeline. If you are using GitHub, and this is what we are going to do today, we are going to use GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions is the CI/CD tool in GitHub, and this is where we can run automated tests and automate stuff. What can you do with GitHub Actions? You can do a lot of stuff. You can, when you start running GitHub Actions, it is going to start like an instance in the background, and you can install things on testing tenants. You can run things with that. So if you have like tools supporting CLI, command line interface, for example, the tabular editor or the fabric inspector, then you can run those. And now we just have a solution because we can automatically format the DAX code, for example, with the tabular editor. We can also automatically run the best practice analyzer. If you are not familiar with the best practice analyzer, then here is a very short intro to that. There are best practices. If you're a Power BI developer, you should follow from semantic model point of view and from your report visualization point of view. Today, we are only going to focus on the semantic model. And these rules can be modified. You can find these online. There are like almost 200-ish online. Some of those are supported by Microsoft. Some of those just created by the community. You can create those yourself as well. And you can run this in the tabular editor. Tabular editor 2 is okay, so you don't have to use tabular editor 3, which is the paid version. And if you run these the best practices or the best practice analyzer, you will end up with a health check of your health status of your report. And an example, what you can see here on the slide, we have two best practices here. I'm going to explain. The first one is like don't summarize numeric columns, just as I said, but this doesn't have like a very high importance. As you can, on the slide, you can see that there are like three severities, like severity 1 information. These are like nice to haves. These are not going to break your model, but you want to, at some point, you might want to correct these as well. Severity 2, warnings, things which can actually have an impact, like a serious performance impact as well on your model. A good example to that, I think, is like the number of calculated columns. As you might know that calculated columns has like a negative impact on when loading the report. So you shouldn't have too many calculated columns, if any. So these are like, if you have calculated columns, you will have a warning. And the severity 3, these are errors which can actually break your report. And the avoid division and use divide function instead. This best practice means that whenever you create a DAX code and you want to create a division and you don't use the divide function, but you use the slash or the divide operator, then this is going to be a severity 3 error, or like an error actually, because if the denominator is 0, then it can break your report and break your visuals. So you should use the divide function. Good. I think this is these are the basics. And now we are going to see a scenario when someone develops a new measure, and that person develops that like on his or her own branch, so like on a feature branch, far away from the main or production. And when the person feels that it's ready, then it's going to create a pull request. A pull request is when a person said that, hey, I'm ready with my work, but before merging with the main branch or with the main branch, someone should approve my work as well. And this can be triggered in GitHub Actions, or this can be triggered in GitHub or created in GitHub. And this pull request is going to trigger our GitHub Actions, which is going to run the best practice analyzer against our model. And we will see if our result is, semantic model is okay to move forward towards production or not. So here is a quick video. Which should start. I've never been in this situation before when a pre-recorded demo is not working. Let me try to find another solution.
This is the challenge of a live meeting.
Yeah, but this is not even live. And this is the best part. So
we all remember the blue screen that Bill Gates had.
Yeah. Okay. Let me check if it works here. Wait. Okay.
You stop sharing your screen.
I know. I stopped sharing. And I think I think this is working now. Yes, good. Yeah, I'm going to reshare the screen. Which is this one. Okay.
Perfect. We can see.
So we are here in GitHub. I'm going to first show you how a GitHub action file looks like. This is written in YAML, and it's just like this seems to be complex, but it's not complex. What it does is finds the latest version of Tabular Editor 2. Then it downloads and installs Tabular Editor 2, and then it is going to run the best practice analyzer. I know that it's small, but it's not important at the moment. And again, what I highlighted is that it's triggered by pull requests. So every time someone creates a pull request on the main branch, then this GitHub Actions workflow is going to be, it will run. What we see here, that a Power BI developer creates a measure. And as you can see, the measure is not using the divide function, but using just the slash or the divide operator. The person saves the Power BI file. We go back to VS Code. We can compare the changes. Previously, I was using the divide function, what you cannot see most probably, but I can make sure that, okay, in green, the new version shows my new measure, which is correct. The person is going to create a commit. So after we made sure that we are working on the right feature branch, and since it's after the sync, we can also say that, instead of version 147, we have our new version there, which is the new measure with this slash operator. We are happy with our work, so we are going to create the pull request. We can say that, hey, I want to integrate my changes into the main branch because I think that everything is perfect. And once I created that, I can see that a pull request is created, great, but this is still in VS Code. So let's move back to GitHub and check our work there. We can see the pull request, and I can see that this amber dot here, that's like bigger amber rectangle, says that something is running, which means that, okay, the GitHub Actions workflow is actually started, but now I can see that something is red, and that is usually a bad sign. So if I come back here, I can see that process. I'm going to extend that in a bit later. So what I can see here, let me. It acts very strangely. Okay, this is the message I got. The measure cost per conversion, this was the measure I created, violates rule, avoid division, use device function instead. I got a message, and then after that, the error process completed with exit code 1. So to be completely honest, on the one hand, I'm very happy that, okay, I managed to run an automated test. It failed. So, and also whoever created this pull request has an understanding that, okay, something is not working. My pull request got like, was not approved. I have still work to do. And if the person goes into the details and checks this, hopefully, hopefully the person will understand that what he or she needs to do to correct this issue. Obviously, we can ask our colleagues, more experienced colleagues, but if someone is not familiar with the best practice analyzer and the jargon used in best practice analyzer, then this message that exit code 1 is not going to be helpful. Another issue I had is that there is no clear indication what must be corrected. We can see the measure here, that something is wrong with the measure, but if you don't know why you should use the divide function, then again, you need more experience. Yes, Ronan?
We have a question from Roslan. Will this approach will work in Azure DevOps, build the pipelines too?
It works in the same things again. So like you can run the same things in with the Azure DevOps pipelines, and you will get the same result. Thanks. So this is one thing that it's very difficult to understand the core issue, and my other issue is coming from the way Tableau editor works or best practice analyzer works in command line interface. If you can remember what I showed when I was explaining the Tableau editor, then there was like a nice table showing like, okay, 22 elements violating this rule and 2 elements violating that rule. You don't have that here in when you are running BPA through the CLI. If you have multiple severity rule violations, which are the errors, then you need to run and correct every time. I mean, all the time, as many times you have these kind of issues with your model, which can be very, very frustrating. So if you have like 3 measures violating, I mean, using the division, you get notification once you created the pull request, you correct that, then you get another one. It's just not efficient. So to find that or to fight that, I created other solution, which was like, okay, since you can change the severity, BPA is a JSON file. You can, again, as I said, you can add rules, you can remove rules, you can scale up and scale down the severity or the importance of each rule. I scale down everything to 2 or 1, it doesn't matter. So when the best practice analyzer automatically triggered and runs and executed, it won't going to stop. But I get the result, I export the result, and I run a Python file, which is going to analyze the best practice analyzer results. And that Python file has a mapping, so it will understand whether I truly have severity-free rule violations or not. In order to do that, I also need I need a custom rule set where I change the severities down to 3. If I want to run that in GitHub Actions, then I'm going to need a custom C# macro, because tabulator works that way. So I need that as well. And also I'm going to need a Python file which analyzes the result of the analysis. The workflow looks like that. First, we install the tabular editor, we run the best practice analyzer, we upload this result as a CSV file. We get this CSV file with Python, analyze that, and we will end up with 2 files, one with the row analysis, the row result, and the second is the analysis. As this is like the row file, and I said, okay, this is good, but if there are no severity-free rule violations, what should I do? How can I focus on what's important? And okay, I just created these 3 separate files, and every time I get this result, I just focus on the must-have, the severity-free, which in our case it's good because it shows that there is only one DAX expression violating this rule. And again, I saw an issue, but I think that I also created a new one, because at least I have a full list of issues I need to focus on. But now I need to download the results of the best practice analyzer, manually check that, manually open several files or just one, and sort and order that. It's not efficient. And if someone is not familiar how to download artifacts from GitHub, then again, it's not efficient. It's not a good solution. So I've solved a couple of issues, but I created other ones, or not solved all of the issues. And I think that what's more important, what would be ideal from my scenario, is that someone creates something like a measure or anything, and creates a pull request. I think that if you have automated checks, quality checks, then those should communicate what must be corrected, what are the priorities, or what priorities are, and the person who is creating the modification or working on the feature, instead of trying to figure out what went wrong, the person could have one direct and clear way of a direct understanding of what to focus on. This was what I had in my mind, because if I create a pull request and get something in response, this is the less time-consuming way to further improve the model. So the way I saw that is another Python file, which is because in GitHub Actions you can actually add comments to the pull requests. So I think it is ideal. I'm going to switch screens, and I'm here to GitHub. So I'm going to run this analysis of analysis, and then I'm going to create a comment right on the pull request, where when it's ready, then and the developer checks what's happened, that person can see automatically what must be corrected and how that how they can handle the situation. If you want, you can download the CSV files I just showed, but more importantly, there is like a very clear indication that, okay, the model cannot be deployed until the severity-free issues are fixed. There is one severity-free issue. This is like a must correct. And these are categorized into down below as well. If you are not familiar with this rule, then you can go and check the description. This is like a separate markdown file, as you can see, because all the rules has like a description. Some of those has also like articles pointing out why this should be or must be avoided. And now, at least, if you're a developer, even if you're not familiar with the best practice analyzer, even if you're not familiar with how to interact with pull requests and stuff, now you can understand what must be corrected, what and why you need to do to move forward. And now we have like a bit more complex, but I think that's way more helpful solution. I think we solved all these things, and I think it helps a lot. But again, you are going to face new challenges because you solve this for one of your repos, but most probably you are going to have multiple repositories, not just one. And if you want to version control this solution, because sometimes, or not just version control is one thing, but there is a chance that one project needs a more like thorough analysis, but like a demo projects, I don't care if there is like the DEX is not formatted. Okay, I just said that I do care. Let's take another example. I don't care if the measures don't have descriptions or columns in a demo in case of demo projects, but in some case I do want to enforce the having the descriptions. So you might have several different rules for different projects, and but you also want to store everything in one place. So if you want to scale this up to your organization, then I think the first thing what you want to answer or want to solve is what I just said. Select the version control this solution package. The second one is how to deploy this automatically every time you create a repository and not to do that manually. Then to protect your code, how you can set like default approvers, not protect your code, but like protect the consistency of your work. And you can also add like further changes. I'm not sure if we're going to touch upon that today. But the most important things from my point of view is how you can create the reusable workflows. So you only have to create this once, this solution, and store that centrally in a central repository. And every time you want to use this solution, from other repositories and other projects, you just need to call this solution. I'm going to explain that real quick. So the developer starts working on locally on the machine. That person is working on a feature branch, and when the person feels that the work is ready, then he's going to create a pull request. This is what we've seen so far. But what can be changed, and I recommend to do that, is that pull request is going to trigger a GitHub Actions, but that is just like a caller, and that is going to pass the parameter. So where is the semantic model located in the repository, and pass that to the central repository, which has the actual GitHub Actions workflow, which runs our custom rules, does the best practice analyzer with the custom rules, creates the analysis, and also creates the pull request comment I just showed, and it creates on the pull request which was and in the repo where it was created, and if it has like any severity-free rule violations, then it's going to be denied, or it can be sent forward for approval. So I think this is one of the solution, and I find this very useful. We use that because in that case, you are going to need to worry about only one thing, to make sure that all of your repositories have the same like light wave or like color. So these GitHub actions in the repository. This is the only thing what you need to worry about. You handle everything in the central repository. You have all the Python files, all the JSONs, markdowns, everything what I just showed. You store it only one version in one place, and you use all the other repos just to call this and like execute that. In order to do that, you can create a template repository in GitHub. Which is if you open your repository and go to settings and tick the template repository, then it is going to be a template repository. So after that, when you create a new repository under start with template, you can see that you can select this as a template, and when you create that, all the files created in the template repository are going to be included in the new repository as well. It's just a couple of clicks, but it's a huge win. You can set up default approvals. I think I'm going to. This is just a line of code what you need to add in your YAML file, and thanks to this, you can be sure that every pull request is going to like. Usually in the company we are a small team, and usually I'm the one like approving the pull requests, and I just want to make sure that I'm always included. So whenever it's needed, so it's default in the YAML file. If you don't want to do that for other reasons, then you can create a code owner files, which you can add to the template repository as well. And then it's automatically, whenever you create a new repository, it's going to be created and assigned automatically as well. The pull request templates. Ronan, how much time do we have? I think
we're good with the time. You can continue. Basically, the meeting is 75 minutes. So okay. You have take your time.
Okay, I thought that I only have like until 1, but it's okay. I'm going to explain this quickly, and then this is going to be we still have time for recap and questions. So a pull request template is I think on its own, it's a very good thing to have. So you can create, again, if I come here, okay. So if you want to create a pull request template, you need to save a file called pull request template, and here, sorry.
1 second. Give me 1 point just to mention. I wrote it on the Q&A. If I already interfered you with the course of the meeting, so just a small note. Daniel presented and spoke about using repositories. If you need to do more work that it's separated, I just want to mention, to remind you that you also can use branches.
Okay, so I mean, whenever I talk about like repositories, I talk about like separate projects. Like we are working for one client, and we are working for another. You might have like only one Power BI project for a client and maybe 2 for one, but you need to separate those into separate repositories. So this is what I meant. But as you said, you can use branches, not for but not for the purpose I mean doing that. Sorry. But yeah, the branches are created exactly. I mean, if you're using branches, this is you can check the cheat sheet, but also it's a way to do parallel work in the same repository, in the same workspace. So you can work in one branch and work on the DAX measures, while another colleagues in another branch is working on visualizations. And when both of you are ready with the development, you can add your changes into the main version, and both of your work is going to appear. Yeah. Thanks for now. Yeah. So back to pull request templates. If you can remember from the video, it was just when I was creating the pull request, I was just like clicking, okay, selecting the branches, just clicking up a couple of things, and that's all. But sometimes I do feel that adding more context is very useful. So you can create a template, and every time someone creates a pull request, this pops up automatically. And you can make sure that this is filled. So if you are working with Azure DevOps, and the feature you are working at, the DEX measure I just created, is linked to a task or user story, then you can add that here. You can, as a developer, describe what happens, not just in a short commit message, but like in a more detailed version. And what you can also do here is create, since it's Markdown, you can also create like checkboxes. And if you can see from this example, sometimes your Power BI file is huge. If you have like not just the best practice analyzer, but you also have the Power BI Fabric Inspector, which is the same thing just for the visualization part. So not semantic model, but for visuals. Then you don't want to spend your precious like Azure or GitHub minutes or resources on checking something in the modified file, which you sure is not modified. So if you only modified a measure, why would you want to run the best practice analyzer for visuals? So this is a way to solve that. Developers can like use the checkbox, and when they are ready, or when they submit the pull requests, you can add a parser to the GitHub Actions workflow, which will check the pull request template, and based on that, maybe you can trigger like different part of your workflow as well. Okay. And
the question in the chat from Rosven. What do you think about developing and enhancing the code using Copilot, GitHub Copilot?
I can see your answer, and I can agree with that. I think it can be very helpful. It can be very helpful. For example, the C# code which is running is written by Claude, but it took me like more than a week to. So I literally needed like 2 lines in the code, because the other code was like provided by Tabular Editor. I needed 2 lines, and I spent more than a week to figure that out, even with the help of like Claude and ChatGPT. So if you know what you are doing, it can be helpful. It can be very helpful to modifications. So in the Power BI project files. So as I gave you an example earlier, so modifying different parts of the code, modifying the data type and stuff like that. But all in all, I wouldn't rely on that. And I'm going to quickly wrap up what's just been discussed today. So we started a journey in the dark age when we had to rely on like manual naming conventions, and it was not a good way to interact with or like to develop Power BI projects. Then we finally have PBIP, and we can use local version control. But since we have local version control, we can connect it with GitHub or Azure DevOps. And we quickly ended up with a solution which I showed in the video, that in the cloud, in the remote repository, a workflow was automatically checking our semantic model, whether it was following best practices or not. we realized that it's not okay. It's good, but we can do more. We created our custom rules. We also exported the results so we can actually understand what's wrong with our model. And then I also saw this, that we don't have to do that anymore, but we create an automated pull request comment which explains the issues. We went like, and we also made like one step ahead and created a central repository which handles everything in one place, and all the other repositories are just going to call this and execute what we need to do. I think the last thing before I finish and open page for other questions as well is this is all good, all very, I mean, it sounds good. It's actually, no, it's very good to work in that way, but only if you make sure that everyone in your team and everyone who is using this solution is familiar with the solution, at least at some level, comfortable using that. It's the most important thing, and is not afraid of using that. Okay, it's the same thing, uncomfortable. And I think that the human element is crucial here. That might sound like a cliche, but even it sounds, that's the truth. So if you introduce this and you are and someone in the team is not like comfortable using that, then your project or this way of working might fail, because you might, or those persons or those individuals might create like shadow branches, shadow repositories, because they're like too afraid to use this, or maybe they are too afraid to share the work. So I think that what we've done is we created a good couple of scenarios together as a team. We sat down, we solved that together, we went through the issues together, and we made sure that everyone is like everyone is on the same level. And if someone like forgets something, then we can always go back to this list and check that later and ask others. So I think this is like a super important point, and I cannot put enough emphasis on that. I'm going to share the video, or not the video, I'm going to share the slides. And if you are interested, I think, in CI/CD and Fabric, I think you should follow these guys who share like very, very, very important content with the community. And I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I think we still have time for those questions and reactions as well.
I enable the camera for everyone, so if you want to show your face, we can meet. And if you want to speak, so just put your hand up, please, using the option raise at the top of the Teams button. You can see it, and the speaker will pick one by one. Feel free to use your camera, and thanks a lot for everyone for joining us. And of course, I want to thank our speaker, Daniel Patkos, for such a great session. It will be published, the recording will be published. And thank all of you joining us today. I remind you to register to next week's meeting. You have the link at the chat, and please help spread the word. This is a community, and we don't have any other tools but using the community. As I always say, it's for the community, but it's also by the community. So let's spread the word and bring everyone to next week. And let me see if we have any new questions. Okay, I don't see any new questions at this time. Thanks a lot again, Daniel, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Let's give people a few more minutes. In a second, you have a lot of virtual deployed, and we will close the session in about 1 minute, a bit less. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye. Bye, Daniel.
Thank you all. Thanks, man. Cheers. Bye. Bye-bye.